Hi, I'm Annabelle, and welcome to my corner of paradise. Join me as I show you how to cook great food for friends and family. It's just such a beautiful morning, so crisp and clear and still. And with the weather like this, I just love to cook outdoors. There's something so satisfying about lighting a fire and cooking outside and all those lovely baking aromas. There's a real nip in the air this morning, and I'm using the outdoor oven to cook my sticky buns. I just love that whenever it gets cold, lighting the fire. And when you're cooking in an outdoor oven, it takes about an hour and a half to heat up, to get enough heat built up inside the cavity for cooking. But if you're using a conventional oven, just turn it on really high and let it come up to temperature before you start cooking, and you'll have the best sticky buns in the world. I'm going to take my sticky buns up to the hard-working mustering crew on the farm. Today they're bringing the merino sheep from the high country down to the lower pastures. It's an annual event and thirsty work, so I thought I'd take up morning tea and collect some of our lovely farm lamb for dinner tonight. On the menu, some sweet roasted vegetables with couscous, juicy barbecued lamb with a spicy rub, a fresh pear and walnut salad with fried halloumi, and for pudding, my favourite honey lemon cream. First up though, I'm going to bake my sticky buns to take up to the farm. My kids have been making these since they were 2. They're just so easy, and it's the most brilliant recipe because it just uses everyday store-cupboard ingredients. And I think people get freaked out about using yeast because they think so much can go wrong. But I've got the tricks to make it perfect every time. Melt half a cup of butter, and while it's hot, add 2 cups of milk. This is the important bit to get the mixture to room temperature. And the reason I melt the butter is it warms up the milk enough so that then that actually starts the yeast action working. Add 3 teaspoons of yeast, 3/4 cup of sugar, and give it a stir. Whenever you're making bread, you always want to use a high grade or a high protein flour. And that doesn't mean that the flour is any better quality, it just means that it's going to have more gluten in it. And the gluten in there is what gives the bread that really lovely stretchy quality and texture. Place 6 cups of high protein flour in a big mixing bowl with a teaspoon of salt. Make a well in the dry ingredients and add the liquid. Give it a stir, and then when it starts to come together, turn it out onto the board and begin to knead it. Such a satisfying thing to knead bread, it just feels so nice. And you just want to knead it until it starts to get silky smooth, about 30 or 40 strokes. And if it's getting too sticky to work with, see how it's just getting almost a bit too sticky, you can add a little bit more flour, but really hardly any at all, because the nicest thing about bread, the thing that makes it really, really light, is having the dough quite moist. Leave the dough to rise somewhere warm until it's doubled in size. I'm only using half the dough, and the rest will keep happily in the fridge for a few days. Roll it out on a lightly floured board into a large rectangle, about 1/2 centimetre thick. Now for the filling. Butter. And you can use as much or as little of this as you want. The more you use, the more delicious it tastes. But it's just an occasional treat. It's not something that you're going to make every day. And then I just mix a tablespoon of cinnamon with 1/2 cup of sugar and sprinkle this all over the dough. Roll it up tightly along the longest edge to form a big cylinder, and then cut pieces about 4 centimetres wide. Arrange them in your tin with a little space between each so they can expand as they cook. I'm just going to leave them to rise for a little bit, and then into that hot bread oven outside. So into that hot oven, and they only take about 12 minutes. Yum! If you're using a regular oven, bake them at about 240 degrees. They smell so good. Oh, and they're so quick to cook. And I just love this dough because it's such a useful recipe. I can have it in the fridge for a couple of days, rolls out just so beautifully. And at festive times like Christmas and Easter, I make a big scroll and I fill it with fruit mince and chocolate and then cook it in a big scroll and slice it like that. It's so delicious. Or cut triangles of dough and top with a spoon of custard and half a stewed apricot and then bake until golden.